Hello, and welcome to BonkTable. I'm Mass, and this is their Conquest Battle Report. So this Battle Report and the next two are going to be from a tournament where I went to Calgary and attended a Conquest tournament there. So I'm playing the same list over and over again. I had a really good time. I met a assortment of amazing people there, and my first matchup was actually into another Conquest creator for the game, and that was Liam from Millennial Model Mayhem. Him and I got to play a game. Great guy. People have kind of nicknamed him Conquest Jesus because he kind of looks like Jesus a little bit. And he's a really good opponent, and I had a great time into him. And if you want to look at his stuff, his channel will be in the description below. So if you want to see him paint Conquest minis or talk about the game, he paints a lot of different stuff. I know he was painting Gundams at one point, so if you're interested in that, there's Gundams he paints. And yeah, so I'm gonna get into the list and I'll start the battle report. So here's my list. Just a heads up about these games is that I played them about 2 days ago, so if my memory's a little like fuzzy, that's that. I'm not really gonna be like, hey, I have to remember everything. It's like, you know, drove down there, played the 3 games, had beer and pizza after, talked to the locals, had a great time, came home, and was like, oh yeah, now I gotta make content. However, this is gonna be the easy part. So my list, I just called it 1500 points. I whipped this up in about 5 minutes, and that was it. So for so all these games were 1500 points because their meta was kind of newer and they wanted as many people to join and play as possible. So I brought what you would call some degenerate shit, because I only took about 5 minutes of thought into this. So we have an Imperial Officer Warlord. He gets that Vanguard deployment supremacy, so you get that extra free additional march whenever you're marching infantry up the table for their first turn. Fire first, aim later, and on your feet. Double time and fire in advance to do the scoot and shoot. I had 10 points left over, so I gave him Disorienting Strikes if he ever gets into a duel. I then have 3 units of Merc Crossbows who are all MSUs with no banners. I then have my second Warlord, what's a prior commander of the Crimson Tower, who has Olaphane's Roar for that +1 clash and Terrifying 1 on the charge. It doesn't stack with Order of the Crimson Tower's Terrifying 1 because it's not Terrifying +1, but I kind of want the +1 for the clash. And Long Lineage is just so I can get a heirloom, if you're wondering what that's for. Then I got 2 Order of the Crimson Towers with Standard Bearers, both MSUs, and then I got 2 Order of Ashen Dawn with Standard Bearers, and that's it. So I whipped this up in about 5 minutes, and I basically was like, I don't know what I'm going to play into. I don't know how good any of these players are. I'm just going to bring things that I know work and do well. And I'm just going to make it 1500 points. So I immediately went, I want 2 units of Order of Ashen Dawn. MSUs are fine for 1500 points. So I had to take 2 Order of the Crimson Towers. So I'm like, okay, well, there's all my heavy options. Now I need to either pick out mediums and lights. I looked at the mediums and was kind of like, for 1500 points, I don't really want any of these. For lights, I only wanted Merc Crossbows. So I grabbed an Imperial Officer and then just loaded up with as many Merc Crossbows until I had no more points to spend on Merc Crossbows. And then I just went and looked for upgrades. And that was it. That was my 5 minutes of work. Is this list good? Well, yes, and also no. Yes, because I know how to play it and what I'm doing. And really, your turn 1 is just get Merc Crossbows onto the table, run them up, set a line of engagement. And then you want to stall until about turn 3 and 4 so that you can get the rest of your heavies on the table. And on turn 3, you just want to bring Order of the Ashen Dawn onto the table. So if you fail all your reinforcement rolls on turn 3 and only have 1 Order of the Ashen Dawn, next turn you auto bring on your next Order of Ashen Dawn and you roll again. And you want those Order of Ashen Dawn onto the table as fast as possible. And you want them up the table as fast as possible. So you just find yourself, when you're looking at the table, kind of like a hole, or like this is where they're going to get into the zone and start fighting, and you just run them at your opponent. And then Order of the Crimson Tower will come in from the side and hit your opponent in the hammer and anvil style, while your opponent is being shot by Merc Crossbows. And when they're being shot by Merc Crossbows, hopefully they have not a ton of range shooting back at you, and you kind of just want to entice them to come closer so that they get shot by Merc Crossbows because they're killing Merc Crossbows. What means there's Order of Ashen Dawn, Order of Crimson Towers right behind Merc Crossbows, ready to kill whatever is killing Merc Crossbows. And that was it. That was the idea of the list. And that was 5 minutes. maybe me talking about my list also took 5 minutes, because like I did not put much thought into this. I just was like, yeah, Crossbows, Order of Ashen Dawn, Order of Crimson Towers, done. Okay, cool. I don't really have much more to say. Also, I'm slow rolling my rules, so if you want to pause it, go ahead. I'm just going. I gotta do 3 more of the, well, this one and 2 more. So we're gonna see how much insanity I have left by the last battle report. All right, that's that. Let's go look at my opponent's list. Here's my opponent's list. Liam from Millennial Model Mayhem is playing Spires. His list is called The Angry Chicken. He's in Directorate. I have no idea what this does, so let's go find that really quick. Where's D's? D's, nope. Okay, I have no idea what that does. Disperse, deadly shot. Okay, cool. Yeah, I have no idea what the Directorate subfaction does, so if someone wants to tell me, that'd be cool. He's got a Ferromancer. He's got his Ferromancies and his Ferromantic Gland Burst. He also has Flesh 1 and 2. I believe this guy is healing people with Flesh 1 and 2. Let me just go check Flesh 1 and 2. Yeah, the regiment gets regen +2 draw event, and the character may use its unique stand Mend Flesh Ferromental Gland Burst twice per action. What does Ferromental Gland Burst do? So, combat a target regiment 8, it gets +1 March to Resolve until end of turn. Oh yeah, he was handing this out and healing them. Okay, so you gotta remember, this is a couple days ago. I played 3 games back to back, so I gotta remember everything. So if I'm a little more all over the place than I normally am, that's why. So Ferromancer, he's in a 6-stand unit of Force-Grown drones with a catabolic node. I was gonna call it a catalytic converter, but that's in Ford F-150s, and you steal those out of trucks. He's got a unit of Strix just running around. Movement 10 pretty quick. They die very quickly, but Evasion 2 is also really good for just kind of staying around. Sometimes you just live with Evasion 2. But their whole point is just to be a skirmisher, get in there, and then explode on your opponent. He's got an Abomination for the cruise missile. And Brute Drones just be Brute Drones. They kind of can take a hit, and they kind of can't. Defense 3 is just any cleave just makes this really sad. That's what I'm getting at. But they are 5 attacks. If they get inspired, they go to 3 with Flurry. So they actually should do some good hits. Speed 6 isn't bad on them either. In his next warband, he's got a high clone Executor or Executive Producer, as we know him as. He is the warlord for the Coordinated Assault Supremacy. What's you declare your supremacy, and your first draw action, you draw 3 cards, and you just go before your opponent gets to draw. Very powerful, really good. He has all the mutations to get range 22 barrage 6 gun with deadly shot. He is volley 3, so he's pretty accurate with that thing. The disperse tactic gives the regiment he's in loose formation. He will be in 4 stands of marksman clones, so shooting into marksman clones is going to kind of suck. But my plan to kill these marksman clones is to just run a horse into them and be like, here, deal with it. What else he's got? He's got bound clones. They have a war preceptor. This just gives them the bastion draw event, so they can just run around. I believe he's just kind of using them to score and be in the way, and they're a good mainstay. Lastly, has a mimic assassin. No upgrades, just has all his stuff as is, and he's in a unit of vanguard clones who have an assault preceptor, so I believe the command stand gets +2 attacks. Where is it? Oh, +1 to his attack characteristic. Oh, the regiment adds +1 to his attack characteristic. Oh, and here we go. The regiment's command stand rerolls failed hit rolls when performing a clash. Okay, so +1 to attacks for all the vanguard clones, and the command stand gets flurry, basically. So, not bad. And that's really it. Things I have to comment and kind of watch out for is the Ferromancer. He's kind of just spamming buffs. I need to understand Spires more. Hopefully I'll bring someone onto the podcast who can just talk Spires and all the weird shit in Spires, because reading Spires doesn't tell you what Spires does. Playing Spires and seeing the shenanigans of Spires does tell you what Spires does. So it's really hard to visualize it from the paper of what's happening. But basically, from what I recall, is my opponent was like drawing the Ferromancer, spending 2 of its Ferromantic drives to give like +1 march or result to 2 different units, putting a unit, like drawing a card, giving that unit a buff, putting it into the bottom of the deck, healing up the regiment of Force-Grown Drones the guy's in, like, you know, he's doing all that weird Spire shenanigans. The High Clone Executor and the Marksman Clone is just shooting at me. Mimic Assassin, he just got killed. I'm sorry, Mimic Assassin. Maybe one day you'll rise up and be someone, but he usually just gets, like, just killed. I'm just gonna, yeah, Brutes of Brutes, Abomination, like, it has no durability, but, and it, at Clash 2, I don't know. Clash 2 hits, Inspired to Clash 3 rolling, like, I just find it doesn't really, like, do enough damage, but it's also 150 points, and it's speed 10, like, the Abomination's a great objective killer, and it's great as, like, a from downtown charging piece, where it can just be like, oh, I'm gonna come in from, like, 12 inches away, like, and just be like, bang, into the side of a regiment, so Abomination's just a weird piece, but he has a spot, and he's just very quick. He's also a great just zone holder for 150 points. You just run him up the table. He's like, I'm in the zone. And you're like, okay, cool. When you double march 20 inches, it's pretty quick. Strix are annoying. Just shoot them. Don't really melee these things. Just shoot them to kill them if you can. Or if you're going to melee them, put something you don't really care for into melee with them. That's really all I gotta say with this. I'm gonna slow roll my opponent's rules, and we'll get on with the game after. Pause the video at any time if there's like a rule you really want to read that I didn't talk about. Okay, let's go look at the game. So the scenario we played for round 1 was melee. We got a 9-inch zone, 2 6ers right there, and another 9. You gain 2 VPs for seizing 6-inch zones. You gain 3 VPs for seizing each 9-inch zone. You gain 2 additional VPs for seizing 2 or more zones. You get 2 victory points for killing the enemy warlord, 2 for every character stand, and 2 for every enemy regiment. This is basically the same melee everyone knows and loves, except the 12-inch zones are now 9-inch zones. That's fine. Something you do need to know about this, though, is that this scenario, and I believe head-to-head, are the only 2 scenarios in the tournament packet that don't have the clause of you can only score the warlord once per game. So if your opponent, like 100 Kingdoms, has Dynastic Alliance to get 2 warlords, you can kill both warlords for 2 points each. So 100 Kingdoms players still have to be careful on melee. I don't know if it was something that was overlooked or missed, but it's just something 100 Kingdoms players like have to be aware of in melee and head-to-head. I think the rest of them are covered. Like, if you want to quote me, go ahead. If you don't, like, I'm gonna be like, don't quote me on that. But I'm pretty sure it's those 2. But if someone knows if there's a third one, let me know. And yeah, I don't know. Other things I can say about this: you just slap terrain everywhere. It's not a really like. I want to say intensive scenario or very, like one you gotta like really look at and be prepared for, because you can just kill your opponent's army to score points, get on scenario elements to score points. There isn't like, how do I say it? Like a tactic or strategy on melee. It's basically get onto your 6-inch so you can start scoring that. Work on the 9s because they give you more points, so you can start scoring that, and just kill your opponent's stuff. Like, there's times where, like, when I played this, I looked at my opponent's list and was like, there's really nothing durable in this, so I'm just gonna go and kill all my opponent's stuff and then sit on zones. And my opponent was like, I'm gonna go sit on zones and score points because he's like, I don't know if I could kill Ashen Dawn. And I'm like, all right, cool, let's find out which one wins. So I'm gonna go take you guys to the table and I'll talk about that. Here's the table. So things we got, you can walk on this, and it's hindering terrain, these weird like barricades. We got a bunch of size 1 obstructions just around the table. And then we got some obscuring forest, so half shots when you shoot through them. There we go. That's it. Lines. This right here we go. I'm gonna pick this color now. Yeah, screw it. This right here is the big kind of fight area just because of how open it is. And then you also have, I'll use green, like this connector right here. So this kind of becomes another big secondary fight area. I don't know if I want to use green. I'll use purple. So, and the reason for that with those three zones is just because of how open it is between the three buildings inside there. And by three, I mean this guy over here that I'm circling in red. And just how easy it is and how open it is comparatively to like get to each one of those three zones. While if you look at this other zone on the left here, it's much more isolated comparatively. Just because like if you try and march this way, you're going to hit a building. You're going through a bunch of trees to get to your other opponent. This is pretty open to get there. And so it's kind of like, it's a little tougher to like go claim it and then go outward from that left zone, while the three that I've circled in the purple is very much more connected and easier to get stuff into comparatively. So you kind of see the table split. I'll use black, kind of like so. So it's going to be like, there's going to be a little fight for that left zone, and then there's going to be a bigger fight for these three zones. Yeah, that's it. Let's go look at turn one. Here's turn one. I get my Imperial Officer and my crossbows in, or I get 2 out of the 3. My opponent gets his Ferromancer with his Force-Grown Drones and his Strix on. I forget who goes first, but we basically like draw characters into each other. I short deploy a unit of Merc crossbows like so. So next turn I can just like walk into the zone and claim it. My opponent runs up his Force-Grown Drones. He got first. So he charactered, I charactered. He like moved up Force-Grown Drones. I moved up Merc crossbows. He moved up Strix to there. So then I got more aggressive with my second unit of Merc crossbows to there. He's using that. I'll circle in purple. He's using this forest really well to reduce shots. Because, like, you know, he's blocked. I'm kind of like, I want to get more shots into him. Just because, like, he's evasion 2, so he's ignore my armor piercing. Having 6 shots into him is going to be kind of rough. He can probably march charge into me at some point, but it's kind of just like, how am I going to deal with these guys? I kind of want to shoot them to death and never do an actual clash into them so I don't get exploded upon. The rest of his list is coming because my list is majority heavy, so it's going to be on the table later. And so it's kind of like, right now I'm kind of looking at the Strix and be like, this is going to be a problem for Merc crossbows because they're probably going to tie up and kill Merc crossbows pretty effectively, and I'm going to have a rough time because even if I kill them in melee, he's just going to explode on me and kill more Merc crossbows. And because of how fast the Strix are, I'm kind of leaving myself further back, and I'm kind of like, want to wait to get my Crimson Towers and Ashen Dawn onto the table. So with that, let's go look at turn 2. Here's turn 2. He gets his High Clone Executor and Marksman clones. They kind of start running up the table. He's eyeing to get into this objective right here. That'd be a really good spot for him because he can just line himself up like so, and then just like shoot outward wherever he wants. I'll just bring this up. Yeah, there we go. So that's a really good spot for those guys, controlling the zone, shooting outward. He then has his Vanguard clone infiltrators and his Mimic Assassin just kind of blitz up the table, getting into that zone and scoring it. Really good on him. The Ferromancer gives, I believe, a resolve buff to the Force-Grown Drones, and he gives a speed buff to the Strix. His Strix are way back here. I bring up my next unit of Merc crossbows. They shoot into Strix, dealing with the woods. These Merc crossbows moved up, and I shoot into the Strix. I believe I'm trying to ignore the wood, so I do some damage. And then, as you can see, he does a charge. He gets in, he clashes, and kills off, 4 or 5 wounds of guys. And then my last unit of Merc crossbow activate, and I believe I just shoot him in the side here and just kill off another one. So it's kind of like, I've reduced damage. The unit of Merc crossbows up there is probably going to die, though. I'm going to circle him in yellow. Like, they're probably dead. Like, there's more stuff coming. I'm kind of in a spot of like, yeah, those guys are dead, but I can kind of, like, next turn is going to be turn 3. I can shove Ashen Dawn here to support. But I'm going to be taking more shots. Merc Crossbows can kind of just finagle shots. I will admit, I do have a problem with this unit of Merc Crossbows I'm circling in red right now, because they're kind of stopped by this building and the other unit of Merc Crossbows with the Imperial Officer. And I'm kind of like trying to figure out how to get them to be effective, because I don't want them to be shooting through trees for half shots the entire game, but I didn't really have another good spot to deploy them because I need to get work done. And another one here is my Imperial Officer is further back from the zone because I had the Merc Crossbows shoot the Strix and then like take aim, shoot, or maybe I moved up, shot, and then backed up, like, you know, double time and fire for effect, so it's like move, shoot, move, or I took aim, shot, and then moved back. Like, I just kind of did the movement shenanigans. And the reason why I basically moved back was I think I didn't want to get charged by the Strix, and he eventually went into that other unit. And also these force-grown drones over here are like kind of coming with me, or coming forward. They can't score, so their best bet is just to get in the way, and they'll handily tie up and kill Merc Crossbows if they ever get into melee, so it's like I really don't need that. I am giving up scoring, but I didn't need to lose more stuff faster, is kind of my thing, because I knew once he deployed this Vanguard unit, he was going to be going for those Merc Crossbows, so it's kind of like I'd already given up on those forward Merc Crossbows, so it's like, okay, I don't need to give him more. So if next turn those Vanguards charge those Merc Crossbows that are circled in yellow, his Strix this turn maybe would have march charged and gone for my Imperial Officer and not for the easier charge and clash of the Merc Crossbows. So it's kind of like, what do I do? And I'm just trying to preserve some stuff waiting for the Ashen Dawn to show up. So with that, let's go look at turn 3. Here's turn 3. He has, I believe he wins the roll-off. So let's talk about things that come onto the table. His Abomination's on the table, Brutes are on the table, Bound clones with the Bastion guys are on the table, so his entire list is on the table. And I haven't even killed a single unit, and I just got my Ashen Dawn, so we're doing great here. So things that go on, I believe my Merc Crossbows like shoot into Strix. I'm trying to kill Strix. They live. The Ferromancer, I believe, heals them up a little bit so that they're at full health. Or he gets a stand back and then I shoot them back down to like one stand again. Then he has his Vanguard Clone Infiltrators with the Mimic Assassin goes, charges, hits the Merc Crossbows and kills them. That allows his Strix to run in and hit my Ashen Dawn. He has more cards than me, so I believe I draw out and then he just hits the Ashen Dawn with the Strix later in the game. And I kind of just like mill about here with this unit. Realizing that he's not coming into my zone right here, I just use the movement shenanigans to get my officer towing that zone so I can score some points. My opponent runs up his marksman clones, getting him into that position so that he can shoot outward, and smartly scoring the zone. Abomination running 20 inches scores this zone. So he's scoring 2 zones. I believe he's getting a bonus for killing multiple, or not killing, God, scoring multiple zones at this point. I think you need to score 2. So he's like shooting up in points. I'm finally getting on his zone, so I like score 2 points. He's killed a regiment, so he's scoring points. So it's not looking good right now. However, my list is not fully on the table yet, so we still get to see what else I can do. Because like if I can get my list fully on the table, and if I can start killing stuff and pushing him back, I'll be in a really good position. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, let's go look at turn 4. Here's turn 4, and we're sideways. So, things that happen. Ashen Dawn come onto the table. Crimson Towers come onto the table. Whoever took this photo is kind of sideways. Might have been me. So I'll just start with like the side deployments. So Ashen Dawn running up this side of the table. It's basically so I can threaten these marksman clones and put pressure there and score that zone. And I know I need to kill marksman clones because they're very effective with their guns. They shot into these Ashen Dawn at some point during this turn. These Ashen Dawn, what did you guys do? Oh, so I believe my Merc crossbows here went. They killed the Strix finally. My opponent, I believe, had his Marksman clone shoot into my Ashen Dawn. I was like, okay, cool. Ashen Dawn then charged into the Vanguard clones and the Mimic Assassin who are here. They just immediately get eaten and annihilated. Then his Force-Grown drones did like a big wheel in, closed the door, and just got there. I don't know if they had to march charge. I don't really think they did. Or I just blessed it all off. I don't really care that much. And his bound clones just kind of got into the zone more here. I'll use green. Screw it. There we go. Green. So he's scoring that. On the left, his Abomination just did a wheel and then just like just ran over here. He couldn't charge me, but now he's in the zone. He counts as 3 stand, so he's like scoring this. I'm like, oh shit. These these crossbows shoot into the Abomination, and I do like 3 damage, so he's like down to 7. I'm like, oh boy. And then on the left there, my Crimson Tower, we're looking to go into that zone and fight that Abomination brutes, and I was kind of like, maybe I can get away with it if I like bless well and like hit the Abomination, kill it, get hit by the brutes, and use bless to bless off all the damage. But his Abomination running off that way, and I'm like, well, guess I'm fighting brutes. Guess I'll kill those. And I'm like 14 inches away, so I can just march charge, and like probably kill them with the impacts, or kill majority of them. While he has to march charge to like get to me, because he can't go that far. Like I'm like 12.1 or no, I'm 14 inches. So yeah, I'm good. And he just moves up his brutes to be in the zone and score it. So right now, I have killed 2 regiments and a character. My opponent has killed 1 regiment, but my opponent is scoring all 4 objectives and getting the bonuses. So he is skyrocketing forward. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of sucking. But I'm getting to the point where now the lines are kind of like clashing and coming to a close, and I can start getting work done. On top of this, I still have another unit of Crimson Towers in reserve coming out next turn that I can shore up any defenses. And I think the big spot that it's going to go, I'll circle it in yellow, is right around here, because that Abomination is coming for those Merc crossbows, and I need to kill it so that I can keep pushing forward. So I believe this is turn, yeah, this is turn 4, so let's go look at turn 5. Here's turn 5. So, things that happen. Off the bat, I'm pretty sure I have these Ashen Dawn just, like, fight. I have Ashen Dawn go first. Or no. Sorry, I don't have Ashen Dawn. This is his Supremacy turn. So he triggers 3 cards at once. So his first card is Marksman Clone. So I think they shoot at the Ashen Dawn over here, and then they use some battlefield tactic or whatever, and they just kind of like back up off the zone to just kind of be away from my Order of Ashen Dawn, who are right there. Yeah. We'll talk about those guys in a moment. He then activates his second card. What's the Abomination, who is sitting here, charges into the side of the Imperial Officer and the Merc crossbows, and he rolls incredibly poorly and only kills like 7 of them. The higher resolve off the Imperial Officer actually came in handy, because I rolled a bunch of 3s and like saved a bunch on the resolve. He did like 2 impacts and then like 5 hits, and it was like, okay, and then resolve kicked in and was like, I saved a bunch of resolve, and they were just alive, and it was like, god damn it, Abomination. So his Abomination then dies from these Merc crossbows, and the Imperial Officer and his Merc crossbows just like stabbing at it and killing it. So it only had 7 health left, so it just got murdered. His third card, I forget if it's the brutes or if it's the Force-Grown drones engaged with the Ashen Dawn, but anyway, I'll talk about the brute section. They just do like a march charge, get in here, do some impact attacks. I believe I declare this turn as my... Do I declare this as my... I think I do declare it as my blessed turn or whatever, so they just come in, I roll it all off, and then I just stab him down, and he has like 3 health left, so I'm like, okay, cool. So, he's done his big explosion, and I'm like, okay, cool. I draw my first card, it's Ashen Dawn. I probably should have had these Ashen Dawn act, I believe, first, because I don't believe his Force-Grown drones had gone, so I could have got more hits in or something, or not like, oh, guys are dying. But I have the Order of the Ashen Dawn on the right side here. Just march charge into the marksman clones. I kill a stand with impacts, but now they're engaged. I'm just going to beat them to death and then back up into that zone after scoring it. I already talked about the Abomination dying to a bunch of Merc crossbows. His Force Grown drones attack my Ashen Dawn. I bless a bunch of it off. My Ashen Dawn attacks back, does a bunch of damage. My Crimson Towers over here still see these bound clones who are still kind of like butt scoring this zone. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to put myself here because I'm thinking of charging into the side of this Force Grown drone block, wiping that out. And if those bound clones come in, or if the Force Grown drones are trapped, I'll just like, charge the bound clones. So it'll be fine. And if the Merc crossbows get entangled, then well, Merc crossbows, you're in the way, I'm sorry. And then, yeah, that is it. For scoring, we both scored 2. Because he left all his zones, and I'm just like, oh, okay. So I'm going to take advantage of that, because now I can hit your stuff. Yeah, my opponent probably should not have left these zones. He probably should have waited and like scored more and just kind of dragged the game out at that point, because he doesn't have very much durability once I get to him, and now I'm getting to him. So with that, I believe we're going to go look at turn 6. Here's turn 6. My opponent wins the roll-off, but he needs like a 3 to get into these Merc crossbows from his bound clones, and he fails the roll and just kind of like ends up here. I then draw my Order Crimson Tower card. I have these guys go. That was a mistake on my end. I should have had the ones on the left go, as you can see. But I have the ones in the middle go. They just charge in, kill the bound clones. Then my opponent goes, I think his brutes fight back, and then I stab at them, or his, what is it? Force Grown drones go. It's either or. Like, I remember this game was like a couple days ago, and I played a bunch of them, so basically big takes away. Ashen Dawn over here gets killed. The Force Grown drones are down to like 2 stands. Pretty sure it's from like all this Merc crossbow shooting, or just like into him. And this unit of Crimson Towers just clashes, kills, because the thing only had like 2 wounds left, and then marches forward. So we're looking to get into the zone. This unit of Order Crimson Towers just clashes. I just use Bless on the clash, so I can reroll all my filled hits. Wipes out the High Clone Executor and the Marksman clones, and then I take some like die fighting damage. I don't really care though, and I just back up into the zone. And at this point, my opponent calls it because he has 2 stands of Force Grown drones and a character. I have the rest of my army that is going to be Crimson Tower is going to like run into this zone. These Crimson Towers are going to run to that zone. Imperial Officer is claiming that one, so that's like I'm going to be controlling all zones, and then I'm just going to be like shooting and charging him with a bunch of stuff and just killing off the rest of his Force Grown drones. So at that point, we call it, and I'm just going to go into the score. So, sorry. Because this is a tournament, we count the score up to turn 10, because we go like, okay, my opponent called it, and we count like the theoretical, like, what I could have gotten. So, turn 7, like I just said, like I'm going to run, claim this, claim this, claim this, and claim that. So I'm going to score everything, and I'm going to kill off his, I'll just circle them in black, these like Force Grown drones and characters. So like that's another 2 points there. 2 points from the middle stuff, 3 points from the 9 inches on the side, and like another 2 points or something each turn. What is that? 6 plus 4 is 10. I think I get 12 points for each turn, and next turn is going to be turn 7. So you do that a bunch of times, and you just get your score. So let's go look at the score. So here we go. My opponent's score is, I'll just write it, 29. I have 48, 45, 75? I don't know. I think I have 75. There we go. That's what no, 79. I didn't count that correctly. So that's 30. This is supposed to be 10 each. So that's 30. There's 40, and then 4 and 4 is 8. So yeah, 79. 79 is 29. At the start of the game, with all his stuff coming onto the table, I was pretty like, oh no, I'm gonna get like overrun, and he's gonna outscore me, and I'm not gonna be able to catch up. But my opponent kind of made the fatal mistake of pulling stuff off the zones and not letting me come to him. So if you're in a commanding position, just put your stuff, if it can, like the brute drones on the left side, could have just ran to the edge of the zone and just been over the lip, so that if I charged them and killed them, I still wouldn't be in the zone. I still would have to do another action, which stalls me out for another turn. And you just kind of like farm points like that. You just like keep up the pressure, but don't like ever come off the zone. Make your opponent come to you, and when they do come to you, and even if your stuff is weak and is gonna die, put it on the edge of the zone so that your opponent has to spend another turn / action getting across that zone, or past where the dead bodies are, to start scoring that zone, which gives you time to like run out the clock. Overall though, I think my opponent made some good plays with like what he was doing kind of overall. It's just one big mistake was when he was starting to come off the zones. The marksman clones backing up was probably justified, because like Order of Ash and Dawn are coming at him, and like Liam and I talked, and he was like, yeah, I backed them up so that when your Order of Ash and Dawn charged me, you wouldn't be on the zone. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fair. Like, there's that point denial, and that's kind of what you should be doing at this point. Because he was in the lead and he was winning, and I was like, well, fuck, man, I gotta like get going here. Overall, Liam from Millennial Model Mayhem, great opponent, great guy. So I got BonkTable patches from Cosplay GS, so I kind of, everyone there got patches for BonkTable patches. Oh, well, I might bring this up on the podcast. Actually, I'll bring this up on the podcast because it's funnier. But, yeah, so, Liam got stuff. Liam gave me his business card. That was really great and nice from him. Great guy, and if you haven't seen any of Liam's stuff, I would highly recommend it. His link to his YouTube channel will be in the description below. And yeah, so round 1 of the 3 rounds, 100 Kingdoms, and I won versus Spires. And yeah. I drove 13 hours to come home, and then I played video games, and then I went to bed. So now it's like the next day, so I'm trying to be like, I'm a person. I might edit that out. So, thank you for watching. I hope you guys stick around for the next 2 battle reports, because it's going to be the next 2 rounds of the tournament, where I'm going to be playing into City State 6 game. And if you're interested in any more BonkTable content, we have a podcast. You can find it in the description below. We got a Discord. You can also find that in the description below if you want to come on that and bother me. And we just do lore readings. And I kind of hope to travel more to other parts of the world to play Conquest and, see how other metas are doing and how they play their games and everything. So, thank you for watching, and I hope everyone has a great day. Bye!